Put the thing in frame if you want.
Which one?
The
Ganesha?
No, the Ganesha and the pyramid. It's better, no? If you have it in your frame. I'm saying closer into your frame. Keep it here. Just an idea. Yeah.
What about Ganesha as well?
Which I can also face camera.
Brilliant.
Let him be part of our interview.
Okay, perfect. So we're already live? Okay. Good afternoon and welcome to this special episode of the Shift with CJ podcast. Why is it special? Because most of the episodes that you have heard go online on Zoom or something else where I've been talking to my guests over video calls. But today is special because I am in this biohacker studio sharing my presence, my energy, the light, and the love with a very special guest. Why is he special? Now, my guest on the show today has done a couple of things in his life. He is a meditation teacher, helps a lot of busy executives with finding calm and peace in their life. He is also born in a Vedic family, so he knows a lot about esoteric traditions, Ayurvedas, things that you hear that might be a bit woo-woo, like mantras and things like that. But surprisingly, he's also an 11th Dan black belt and is a Zen facilitator along with being a third degree Reiki healer. So, everyone, please welcome Anjaan on the show today.
Namaste.
Namaste, Anjaan.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you today.
You've done interesting research, so I thank you for that. But I'd like to start with chanting one Om.
Please.
Chanting Om helps you to balance all your internal and external energies, purify the atmosphere of any unnecessary thoughts, and give you clarity to always speak words of value. Okay, so will you join me?
Yes, I will.
Okay, you can put your hands together in the namaste position. If you're watching us, you can also do this wherever you are. If you're driving, don't do it. Otherwise, you can do it. At the start of the bell, you can take a deep inhale and then we can chant Om together. Always a great way to start.
Thank you, Anjan, for bringing in that frequency and vibration into this room. And before we start, a lot of people who might be watching this have seen or been in some sort of a yoga class. They have also seen some, they might have Indian friends. And they've always heard about Om, right? And Om is a unique, well, let's say we use it in a lot of mantras, it's being used in a lot of places because the vibration and the frequency of Om, it, like you mentioned, it has so many different benefits. But also, when scientists look at the vibration and the frequency of the universe, it resembles, the sound resembles to Om. So, how do you think people back in the day they came to this sound? Did they, I mean, was it a trial and experimentation? Did they say other things and then they said Om and something suddenly started, they started feeling great? What's like the history of Om?
Very nice question. It's amazing that science today is catching up with what yoga said 20,000 years ago. So, Om in the Vedic terminology is called Pranava, which means the first sound. And today, even science and the theory of evolution tells us first there was a big bang, which is a sound, essentially. Even Abrahamic religions say first there was the sound, whether it's Christianity or Islam or any other Abrahamic religion. So this is kind of like been passed through humanity, that the first thing that existed was sound. And I like the way you started. You said, thank you for bringing this frequency, because at the end of the day, what are we but frequencies? We're vibrations. So when we see this glass, we might perceive it as solid, but at the atomic level, It's a bunch of atoms oscillating at certain frequencies, thereby causing vibration. So you can say it's a creation of vibration. So the yogis 17,000 years ago, 20,000 years ago, they sat down, they meditated. Like my friend Manish Paul says, in yoga, you are the experiment and you are the experimenter. So they
Mm-hmm.
sat and they experimented with themselves. And they figured out that this sound and many of the other sounds, which now we call mantras, man is your mental space, tra is trayoti, expansion. So expanding your mental space through sound is called mantra.
Mm-hmm.
So then they found many of these syllable sounds, consonants, bija mantras, root mantras that affect different vibrations or energy dimensions that you can even call chakras.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how it happened. They sat and they experimented with themselves. They found it worked. They
Mm-hmm.
shared it with others. They found it worked. So they wrote it down or they shared it. Shruti or smriti. Shruti spoken knowledge, smriti written knowledge.
Uh-huh.
So they shared it. It's passed on through generations. And what we have today is a modern diluted version of what are the amazing things that they found. But it need not be so much in the past. Today, if you sit down and you just listen to space, you might hear the same things. But
Mm-hmm.
remember, you're the experimenter and you're the experiment. So nobody can tell you it's right or wrong. If you've heard it, you've heard it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of present day yogis, present day gurus, present day siddhas, present day meditators all around the world who reach a space of deep, infinite silence to access that limitless beingness inside you. And they get downloads. They call it downloads,
Mm-hmm.
but it's actually just listening to the sound of space.
Sound of space. That is very interesting, especially the glass example that you just gave, because what it really, even like you mentioned, according to science, everything is just frequency, and all these things are vibrating at a certain frequency, and only because it can be blocked by light or it's slower than the frequency of light, we're able to see it. But
That's it.
there's a
That's
lot
true.
of things which are faster beyond the frequency of light. Some things that might just be in this room or outside and be our human eye can't perceive it is because they're just faster than what light is.
It's the same with five senses. So you've covered sight with light. We only see what falls. So I put my hand, it's a certain color because the light is bouncing off it. If I move it, you don't see my hand. You see the wall because it's got a certain color. You see Mr. Charlie Chaplin. But like you said, there are dimensions beyond what we can perceive. The same with sound. There's ultra sounds and there's infra sounds. The same with taste.
Mm-hmm.
There's ultra taste and infra taste, which we cannot perceive. There's so many things which we cannot perceive with our basic taste senses. Then the same thing with smell. There's so many smells we can't perceive. Same thing with touch. And that's when Tantra comes in. Tantra learns to perceive all types of touch.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So I want to learn a little bit about your backstory. So how did you get into meditation, tantra, all the knowledge that you have? Did you download this into you, or were you special, or were you chosen one, or were there environmental impacts that took you to this level? Tell us about a little bit about yourself, about your backstory.
First of all, there's no such thing as getting into meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Meditation is not an activity. It's not like I'm drinking water, I'm meditating, right? It's not the same. The English word meditation is pretty much two-dimensional, unlimited. In Sanskrit, we have many words for the meditative state: dhyana, dharana, japa, tapa, samadhi, etc., so on
Mm-hmm.
and so forth, kaivalya. But the understanding of meditation, to make it simple, is that it is a state you reach when you're able to dissolve any identities that you have accumulated.
Mm-hmm.
So you're born like this. When you're born, you have no accumulated identity. I call it the ignorant state of meditation. Any baby you see is pure divinity
Mm-hmm.
because they've not accumulated what
Mm-hmm.
society told them, what school told them, what college told them. You are so and so person, you're this nationality, you're this caste, race, grade, color, this is your job, this is your role, you're a son, you're a wife, you're a daughter, you're a mother, you're a teacher, you're a student. None of that. They're
Mm-hmm.
pure. That's why babies are pure.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you be childlike and just let go of all the identities that you've accumulated and you find meditation? There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing to get into.
Okay.
There's no activity involved. If you're still doing something, it's probably not meditation because the essence is to move from human doing to human being, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, how can you be and not do? Now, to answer your question specifically, I call it brown privilege because of my
Okay.
skin color. I was born into a family that was deeply rooted in Vedas and yoga and Tantra and a lot of other esoteric sciences. Um, my mother, my father, my grandfather. But when you're a kid, you're running away from grandpa's classes. You're like, I
Yeah.
don't want to go there. But then things happen in your life, you get attracted back to him. So my grandfather was I would say, was my main guru. He was a student of Krishnamacharya, classmate of BK's Iyengar, a professor. And he was also in India. They have this cadre called IAS, Indian Administrative Service, who is a government officer building some of the biggest projects like the Bakra Nangal Dam in India and handling multi-million dollar projects. So he was of scientific mindset. At the same time, he had a very deep spiritual background. Then he became an ordained monk. He became a Roshi, which is a Zen term for an ordained monk. Then, of course, he became a Srividya proponent. Srividya is one of the forms, one of the lineages of Tantra. And then, of course, we come from the Agastya lineage of meditating siddhas. So that lineage was strong. He was an Ayurvedic doctor. He was a homeopath. He was a naturopath. He was a yogi. So I guess when you're a child, you get influenced by all of this when
Yeah.
you go for bhajan sessions or just his talks or his classes. And it just accumulates subconsciously. And when it's ready, it pops up. So 2006 was when I was 26. Till then, it was pretty much playing around, having fun. I was in media for a long time. I still am. So 2006, something happened, like a personal incident. And he said, okay, come, you're ready to start. So I said, start what? He said, no, just come. So that's when I feel my training started. I didn't even know it was training. 2016, he said, okay, we're done now. Get out. I said, what do you mean we're done? He said, we finished 10 years. I said, oh, yeah, we finished 10 years. He said, yeah, you finished your program. Now you go out and you have to figure it out yourself. So I didn't know it was a 10-year program. I didn't know he was putting me through different phases. So during those 10 years, he taught me a lot and I learned a lot. And he showed me other teachers who I had to learn from. And he pointed me in different directions. Go learn this from this guy. Go learn. So that's how I got my Reiki certification. I became a grandmaster. I learned pranic healing. I went and learned Thai yoga massage in Thailand. I continued my martial arts. I had stopped my martial arts. I continued my martial arts and so many other things.
What sort of martial arts did you do?
So when I was young, as all kids do, we started with karate, which is the most common form available for children. Subsequently, I got attracted to double dragon kung fu because of watching some movies. And then I was, I think, practicing some judo for some time, some kickboxing. 2008, 2007, 2008, with my teacher Shiva Subramaniam in India, I got introduced to the Japanese art of ninjutsu. So nin means to persevere, to keep going. So it attracted me a lot because it was similar to the yogic principles I was learning, similar to the tantric ideology of perseverance and having determination and having a strong heart, fudoshin, we call it in Zen. So that attracted me. So 2008 onwards, I've been training in this martial art. 2010, I got my black belt, but the black belt means nothing. It's just a recognition that now they can hit you harder.
Yep.
2012, I moved to Dubai and started my dojo here. My rank then was assistant instructor, Shidoshi Ho. 2014, I got my fifth Dan, and that's when I got my instructor's license. It's called Shidoshi. Do is the path, like you hear a judo, karate do, kendo, taekwondo. Do means the path. So Shidoshi, shi means four, all directions. Shi is path. So the one who's able to show, one who's certified to show the path of four directions to all is Shidoshi. It's a way of saying teacher. So I got my instructor's license in 2014. Then 2018, I got my master instructor's license, which is my 10th Dan. The title there becomes Shihan. So these are honorary titles in our martial art, right? They're like saying professor or assistant
PhD
professor or doctorate. They're honorary titles. The training and the knowledge still has to continue. You still have to play and you still have to train. So 2019, I got that. And thankfully, thanks to that, I got to visit Japan for 10 years. Every year I went
Congratulations.
for long trips. And on my trips to Japan, after finishing training with the grandmaster, who's still alive, 90 years old in Japan,
Wow.
short Japanese man with beautiful purple hair, fantastic soul, throwing around the big Europeans like they're toothpicks. You can Google him, Masaki Hatsumi, if you want. The system he put together is called Bujinkan. It includes 9 schools of ancient martial traditions, 3 of which are samurai schools, 9 of which are ninja schools. So the synthesized form is what I trained, called Bujinkan. But because of my trips to Japan, I got to spend a lot of time with Zen monks at the monastery. So initially, I started with Soto School of Zen. Then I moved to Rinzai School of Zen, and there they gave me the title Dashi. Again, similar to Shidoshi,
Mhm.
means the one who can show the path. And this I got in 2015 or 16. Since then, I've been leading Zazen classes in Dubai.
Wow, you've had an incredible part. And why martial art is so interesting to me, because when I was growing up, I did a lot of martial arts as well. I did Budokan karate, Shotokan karate, a little bit of like not the traditional taekwondo, but I would just practice with a lot of my friends. Was very interested in Shaolin Kung Fu. One of my dreams is to go to the Shaolin monastery, pay my respects. And then as we moved on, I did a lot of MMA, jiu-jitsu, wrestling. So martial arts is very near and dear to my heart, and to see you achieve such great titles is just fascinating.
No, 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 there's no titles. This is the difference between martial sport and martial art. So,
Okay.
except Shaolin Kung Fu, everything you named is martial sport.
Okay.
What's the difference between martial sport and martial art? Neither is good or bad.
Mhm.
Martial sport has tournaments, cups, federations.
Mhm.
Your growth is decided by your competitiveness to somebody else, like pretty much the rest of the commercial
Yeah.
corporate world. Martial art, the only competition is you. The only one you have to be better than is who you were yesterday. That's why it's very similar to yoga. We have no competition, no cups, no tournaments, no federations, nothing.
Mhm.
So it's an art. You're creating movement, right? Of course, we have katas because those are the basic level of understanding how your body moves.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're not demonstrating that kata to somebody else for them to judge you whether you've done the kata right or not. Because in a real life application, you can never use that kata.
Mhm.
All the martial sports guys and the topmost BJJ guys, they'll tell you, if somebody points a gun at you or a knife at you, Dubai is safe, never happens. But if somebody points a gun or knife at you, give them your money. The topmost martial sports athletes. So it's important to understand this difference
Mhm.
between martial sports and martial arts. Neither is right or wrong. Shaolin Kung Fu is a martial art. They have no federation, no cup, no tournaments. It's not a sport.
Mhm.
Whereas all the others you said, wrestling, BJJ, MMA, Shotokan karate, it's all martial
Yeah.
sport,
True.
borrowed from art. And nothing wrong with it.
Mhm.
Even in yoga today, there's sports yoga and there's yoga,
Mhm.
right? Sports yoga is limited to asana, which is posture, bending, flexibility, physical.
Mhm.
Whereas yoga, only 1% of it is asana.
Very
Not
interesting.
even 1%, less.
Thanks for sharing that. When I think of martial arts, one of the things that my sensei used to tell me was like every time we were trying to practice this martial sports, and I was not trying to get that sweep or like that roundhouse kick. Most of the times when I was trying to approach something, he told me approach it like a beginner's mind, right? And now that I couldn't understand when I was young, but as I transition through life and as I've been put into various life situations, whether it's about learning a new skill or being in a situation where I have to perform better, this thing keeps coming. That and now the Western world has also taken this up to a new level, that you have to leave whatever you know and step into the unknown, and progress with that, because it becomes easier. Otherwise you will just slow your progress down.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
doing that is something that a lot of people are scared about, right? Going into the unknown. And now that we're speaking about this, your name translated, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, Anjan is the unknown. Is that correct?
Mm. Your sensei is very wise. Let
Hmm.
me touch upon that. And having a beginner's mind, not just in martial arts, and everything is important, because the minute you think you know,
Hmm.
that stops your growth.
Yeah.
If you have a constant state of realization, there are many things you don't know that you don't know. You don't even know that you don't know it
Hmm.
in any subject, in any topic. Of course, you might be fluent in something, but there's still things in that subject that you don't know. So in yoga, we don't have the pursuit of knowledge because knowledge is limited. Ignorance is unlimited, right? Whatever knowledge we need, there is a path called jnana yoga, and that knowledge is not factual knowledge. It's a deep inner wisdom and understanding that comes from introspection, meditation, looking within, from truly just listening, from mauna, silence, deep inner silence. So knowledge, intellectual knowledge, is not a pursuit at all. And
Mhm.
anyway, in the next few years, since you're a biohacker,
AI will take over.
AI will take over. They're going to implant chips on you, which is connected to the internet. Whatever you want to know, you can download immediately, like the Matrix. You want to fly a helicopter, boom, you can fly a helicopter. So knowledge is going to become irrelevant. But the human interaction, or jnana, the wisdom, the understanding, the experiential knowledge, that is going to become valuable.
Mhm.
So your sensei was very wise, and that's why it's important to look at everything with a beginner's mind, with a I don't know this, or I might know this, but hey, can I be an empty cup and observe how can I do this better, or what is it that I don't know that I don't know. So
Mhm.
that's why we have mentors, that's why we have teachers, that's why my role is simply to show people perspectives that they have not seen before, nothing else.
Mhm.
That's all my job is. Just inspire them to look within more. What else is
Mhm.
my job? Nothing else. All the fancy titles, guide, guru, teacher, mentor, sensei, all that is stories.
Mhm.
What is my role? To give you a perspective that you might have not thought of. Then your job to take that in or not take it in, and then work on it and make it your own.
Mhm.
So you had a question,
I
sorry.
had a question that your name is.
The name. So I had the privilege to hang out with some Sufi saints when
Mhm.
I was very young, 21. And we went through some dargahs and we went to different places singing and whirling and dancing. So I was very attracted to the concept of jiska jaan pehchan na ho, which
Mhm.
is the essence of our soul, which is the Hindi meaning for Anjaan.
Mhm.
Because you speak Hindi, you
Yeah.
understand. But it's a paradox, which means the unknown. But the goal of a meditator or a yogi is to find out
Mhm.
who that is. So I changed my name
Okay.
in 2002 to Anjaan.
What was your name before?
I was born in this body with the name Anjan,
Anjan.
Anjan,
Okay.
which my grandfather was a bhakt of Hanuman,
Mhm.
the monkey god, whose other name is Anjaneya. I think I looked like a little monkey when I was born. Nothing much has changed. I didn't have the tail. So he said, "Oh, okay, let's name him Anjan."
Mhm.
So yeah, that was the name I was born with in this body.
Okay. So you added one more A to
I
it.
added another A,
Okay.
yes.
Did you look at any astrological knowledge or anything with
It's interesting you should ask this because I felt attracted to this name
Mhm.
and it sounded really nice. And I was also on radio at that time, so it sounded cool on radio.
Yeah.
I was also a DJ, so DJ Anjan sounded
Wow. Is there
cool.
something that you haven't done?
And I can't cook.
Okay.
Um, After a few years, after I changed my name, I started looking at all the astrological, numerological significance. And apparently, I went from 4 to 5, I went from Mars to Mercury. I don't remember now.
Mhm.
And apparently, it was supposed to give me more fortune and fame and luck and all that.
Mhm.
So I said, oh, okay, great.
Okay.
So it
Why
was
not?
it was a few years after, but yeah, I did check it a few years after, and it
Okay.
seemed like it was a better name for me.
Mhm.
Though there was one numerologist who said, no, 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 you should go back. I mean, really, people have their opinions,
Do
and
you
these are
do?
sciences which you need to study really in depth, and they can keep changing as you change.
Okay. Now, interesting when you spoke about like all these sacred spots and all these dargahs in March this year. I wanted to take a trip. I was already on a trip, but I wanted to explore all these geographical hotspots where you can either call them places of power. These are places where people go and they suddenly start feeling different vibrations. And in India, we have a few of them. So, yeah, I went to Rishikesh. And Rishikesh, for the people who don't know, is also being termed as the birthplace of yoga. And if you ever walk in Rishikesh, like after every three buildings, you will see a yoga school. And what was surprising was I did feel a lot of difference. I went to Haridwar, Rishikesh, Varanasi, just to sort of explore my spiritual side a bit more. And while I was in Rishikesh, everyone had all these different schools of yoga. And for me, for the longest period of time, I have had I haven't had much information or knowledge about it, but I've always been thinking about learning some sort of a Kundalini yoga. And what was funny was that every time I spoke to someone, they were like, "Oh, do you want to learn yoga?" I had a few friends and they were like, "Can we book you in a class?" And I was like, "Yeah, I want to go to a Kundalini class." And the first reaction that everyone had was like, "Why would you ever want to do that?" And I'm like, "Why would I
In
not?"
Rishikesh
In
or here?
Rishikesh. And I was like, "Why would I not want to do that?" And every time, I think I could hardly find any Kundalini schools, but then people were telling me, "You should stay away from Kundalini yoga. And that's not for you. And even if you did Kundalini yoga, chances are you're not going to be sane." So what's up with Kundalini yoga? Because you also are,
Am I allowed to burst some bubbles?
please, this is what this podcast is all
So the
about.
first bubble I'd like to shift with CJ, see the pun, is that to find your own spiritual self or to go deeper within yourself, it's great that you have the curiosity to go to Rishikesh, Haridwar, anywhere, but you can sit right here and figure it out.
Mhm.
That's the first realization you have. I'm not saying don't go,
Yeah.
enjoy life, travel as much as you want, go to as many people's places, meet as many people. But the purpose need not be the curiosity of finding yourself. The curiosity of finding yourself is right here, right now. No other place. I am where my ashram is where I am.
Mhm.
I am Rishikesh. I am Haridwar. I am everything. Wherever I want to be, I am now. So that's the first shift I'd like you to have. I'm not saying don't be curious and go there and explore, meet the people, enjoy the culture, eat the food, yes. But not in the guise of spiritual seeking. Energy center, the most powerful energy center is inside.
Mhm.
The earth has geographical energy centers, which you can just touch the earth and get connected. It's one big ball.
Mhm.
It's not separate. So don't see it as separate. Only humans are making these boundaries. Those don't exist in real life. What we call borders,
Mhm.
right? That's one. To Rishikesh is great. It's become a bit commercial in my likes. Has a powerful energy, and you have to have the discernment to see who is authentic and who's doing it just as a business.
Mhm.
So this is discernment is learned with experience and wisdom. So have a guide or have a teacher who can point you to the right places.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you will be lost,
Yeah.
and you will get comments like what you got.
Mhm.
Now coming to your main question of Kundalini. Let's understand what is this Kundalini. Kundalini is your life force energy, which exists within you. When you're born, it's infused into your physical body. When your physical body no longer can exist, it moves from your physical body. Kundalini is also the life force energy that runs the universe. You can give it many names. The yogis simply called it Kundalini. All yoga, all asana based yoga, and non asana based
Well,
yoga.
let's for sorry to interrupt you, but just for the listeners, asana are the poses.
Asana means posture, yes. Like we are sitting in an asana now, he's sitting in an asana, you're standing or sitting in an asana.
Mm.
Asana simply means posture. Another term, another meaning of asana is throne, but we'll get that to it a bit later.
Sure.
Singhasana, like
Mhm.
king's throne, right? So all yoga practices is designed to make you more sensitive to your kundalini. All yoga is kundalini.
Mhm.
Now, there is a genius, his name is Yogi Bhajan. He took the concepts to the West, Canada, I think, and
Mhm.
he formed a lineage called Kundalini Yoga,
Mhm.
which now popularly in the West and even in Dubai, they wear white turbans and they do a lot of spinal movements. They wear white
Yes.
turbans because Yogi Bhajan was practicing Sikhism.
Mhm.
So he took all the Sanskrit mantras and made it into Punjabi.
Okay.
So Om became Ekumkar, right? Satguru became Satnam, Vaheguru.
Mhm.
So all the Sanskrit words became Punjabi words. That's why I call him a genius. He modified it to his lineage, his culture, his religion, and he called it Kundalini Yoga. But we
Mhm.
call it Yogi Bhajan Kundalini Yoga. There are many other proponents of Kundalini as such. There's Shri M who propagates Kundalini. There's Mata Amritanamai who propagates Kundalini. There's Kundalini Research Institute.
Mhm.
There's so many different, lineages that are exploring the Theosophical Society. Annie Blesson, they were playing with Kundalini, right?
Mhm.
There's so many
Yeah.
different teachers. The Osho's Kundalini had a different flavor to get to reach the state of Kundalini sensitivity and awareness. But all yoga in general is designed to make you sensitive to your own Kundalini Shakti. Shakti means energy.
Okay.
So there's nothing
So there's not
good
like,
or bad.
okay.
There are techniques which will make you pop like a champagne.
Mhm.
So the Kundalini sensitivity could there are techniques which will make you slowly get sensitized to it. So you got to choose careful techniques. You got to choose masters who know what they're talking about.
Mhm.
You got to choose teachers who have experienced it and not just seen it on the internet or read about it on the internet or seen a YouTube video and understand what Kundalini is. So this is discernment in finding your teacher. That's all. Kundalini itself is neither right or wrong.
Why would someone want to increase their
Sensitivity.
sensitivity or just make them pop? Like, does it? I've
No, you don't
also.
need to make it pop. That's not the function of Kundalini. Sensitivity you increase because that's how you get familiar with all the vibrations that exist in you.
Mhm.
So every cell in your body is vibrating. How aware are you of that? Forget awareness of energy. When you take a breath in, if you're listening to us now, close your eyes and take a breath in, and then figure out how much sensitivity of your breath do you have. Of course, you feel it in your nose, you feel it going through your windpipe, you feel it in your lungs expanding. Then, if you're a bit trained in some pranayama, which is breathing exercises, then you feel it in your diaphragm, you feel it in your abdomen, you feel it in your lower abdomen, you feel it in your belly. Can you then take a few more breaths and see if you can feel the oxygen reaching every single cell? Because scientifically, you know, the oxygen reaches every cell. So why aren't you able to feel it? The neurons are there, the brain connections are there, the neural interfaces are there. So, what is stopping you from feeling the oxygen reaching every cell? And then the toxins in the form of carbon dioxide and other gases being removed from the cells, coming out through your blood vessels and through your through your veins, back to your heart and being disseminated back into your alveoli, into your lungs, and coming out through your nose. And this process happens in a split of a second. The entire game is to become more sensitive.
Mhm.
So forget sensitivity towards Kundalini. Start sensitivity towards breath, then sensitivity towards taste as you eat your food, then sensitivity towards sight. The minute you're interested in increasing your sensitivity, automatically you will start getting more sensitive to your own Kundalini.
And does increasing sensitivity increase your, let's say, power? Because when you talk about cells and you talk about
There's no need to
oxygenation.
increase power. You get reminded
Mhm.
of your power. No need to increase anything. You're very powerful. You get reminded of it. You get clarity.
Mhm.
You get level headedness. You let go of all the drama. You let go of imagination from the future, which is causing you anxiety and worry. You let go of memories from the past, which is causing you trouble and tension. And you exist here and now because you feel and you remember.
But then we have two sets of the population, right? One set of the population, and a big part of them not being able to perform at their highest potential is because of the same reasons that you mentioned. Some things from the past, some things from the future, something worrying.
Why bother about this set of the population? The only one you have to bother about is you.
But then how do you increase, like, your, let's say, if you are operating at a 70% capacity, let's say, right, whether it's in your cognition, whether it's in your heart function, whether it's in your athletic performance, most of the people who might be attracted to yoga, and a lot of people do not want to go the esoteric route.
See, that's the thing. We don't, in yoga, we don't care about most of the people, a lot of the people.
Mhm.
I told you, we are the experiment and we are the experimenter. So if every human functions in making themselves a better version of themselves, even these percentages will cease to exist. Percentage is a intellectual understanding, 70%, 80%, 90%. It's okay. You can gauge it. But no need. You sit, you're 100%.
Mhm.
Okay, let me take the example of something easier. Say you're watching a beautiful sunset.
Yeah.
Okay. And at that moment of the sunset, the sky is turning into a million colors. Okay. The waves are crashing against you, and you can hear the beautiful sound of the ocean. The wind is slowly blowing on your face. Now, at that moment, when the sun is setting and it's 100 different colors, red, yellow, orange, purple, violet, lilac, blue, do you remember your name?
Mhm.
Or have you merged with the sunset? Do you remember your identity? My job, I'm a podcaster. My podcast is called Shift with CJ. I'm a meditation teacher. I'm a guru. I'm a son. I'm a brother. I'm a whatever. Do you remember any of that?
No.
At that moment, you're just merging with the sunset.
Mhm.
Do you remember any of your past worries and anxieties? Do you remember any of your future tensions? Nothing exists.
For a split second, no.
You can extend that split second.
Yeah.
So this is a state that happens to all humans, right?
Mhm.
If you want to call it in the West, you can call this a 100% state. It
Yeah.
happens to all humans. In yoga, we just don't want to leave it to chance.
Mhm.
We want to tell, dear destiny, I'm ready now.
Mhm.
And we want to take control and be able to biohack this state anytime we choose, anywhere we choose, any moment we choose. That's all. And then we train to sustain it, sustain it, sustain it, sustain it, sustain it.
Mhm.
That is practice, that is training.
Mhm.
That is called Kriya.
Okay.
That's all it is. It's very simple. So, this concept of somebody else is not there, half of the world, it doesn't bother a yogi.
Mhm.
If I can hack this within myself and have this inner dimension awaken and the remembrance happen within myself, I don't even need to tell somebody else. The light will just shine.
Mhm. And let's say a lot of people who are listening to this show right now might be very curious. There are so many different types of meditation, so many different types of yoga.
No, stop there. There is no different types of meditation
Okay.
because their meditation becomes a verb.
Mhm.
It's not something you do. There are many, many tools to reach the meditative state. Like sunset is a beautiful tool.
Mhm.
Call it sunset meditation if you want.
Mhm.
Drinking water is another beautiful tool. Call it drinking water meditation. Similarly, you can have full moon meditation, heartfulness meditation, gratitude meditation, sunrise meditation, walking meditation, seated meditation, candle gazing meditation, sound meditation, sound healing. You understand what I'm saying? So the tools are different. The state you reach is the same.
Mhm.
It's the same with yoga. There are many, many different asana, posture schools with different flows, different vinyasa. All of them come from hatha.
Okay.
Hatha means balancing your dimensions that we call nadis. These are energy channels through which Kundalini flows. So balancing your right side with your left side. Hakaram, thakaram is ha, tha,
Mhm.
yoga. So all asana based practices come from hatha,
Okay.
right?
Very interesting thing that you said about the looking at the sun, looking at the moon, full moon meditation. We also know that most of the times when there is like, let's look at the scientific people, right? A lot of studies come out
No,
every day.
yogis are very scientific.
Yeah, but let's
There's
look
no
at the scientific people who are like wearing lab coats.
Many scientists are yogis.
Hmm.
They
Are they?
just don't know
Okay.
that. Of course, they don't practice asana,
Yeah.
but they're yogis because they're coming to the same conclusions that the scientists of that day were called yogis. That's all.
But a lot of misconception that happens is most of the times you would see studies coming out, and studies change every year. They would tell you that we have taken into account all the variables and this is the result. And in the Western world, most of the variables that people take in are what they can see and observe. But a lot of the times, what happens is they don't see, whether they're experimenting on an animal or a human model, that who was the researcher? Was the researcher a woman or a man? Because that by
And how were
itself,
they feeling that day?
how was they feeling that day?
That's
Another
right.
big thing that happens, because this is when a woman feeds the mice, their results completely
And that's
change.
okay, no? Let them have the results.
But there's another interesting thing that comes up all the time. It is they don't even look at the phase of the moon. And that is a very big variable, because we know that I have a dog, for everyone who knows, you didn't see him, but he was downstairs. And every time on a full moon day, I have to be very careful, because there's about a 28% higher chance of dogs visiting emergency rooms. Things also happen around the world, and this has been constant, right? Mental hospitals are more busy, policemen are more busy, there are more crimes, deep sleep could reduce by 30%. There are just so many things happening when there's a full moon. And you also teach a meditation on the full moon day.
I lead.
You lead a meditation.
Nothing to teach.
Okay, you lead a meditation on a full moon day. So what really goes on this full moon day,
See,
for anyone who's listening?
we're all celestial beings.
Mhm.
Okay. Why are we celestial beings? Because we're part of the celestial dynamics. Very small part, but still a part. So, of course, we have connection with the planets and the moon and the sun and the solar system and the galaxy and even further on. So, since we're part of this universe, that's the first recognition we need to have as humans. We see ourselves as individual. We don't even see that tree as part of us. That's why we cut the tree. Forget tree. We don't see the other human as part of us. That's why we hurt the other human.
Mhm.
So, this universal kind of outlook is the first thing humans have to receive. Once you receive this, then you start becoming sensitive to planets' energies, to moon's energies. Moon in Vedic astrology is a planet. So, you start getting sensitive to all the celestial bodies' energies. And then you figure out ways to match your energies to those bodies. So, if in a moon cycle you feel like you need to be more rested, listen to it. We're also cyclical beings, right? Um, that is one aspect. The second aspect is, remember that all the research you read that people can't sleep, werewolves are howling on full moon, my dog is giving me stress, I myself find myself a bit more tense. You have to evaluate if it's real or if it's drama. Most of the time, if you do honest evaluation to yourself, you will recognize it's drama. And where is the drama coming from? It's coming from having read, oh, on full moon, I'm supposed to feel emotional. Having seen some video and absorbed it blindly, oh, on full moon, I'm supposed to feel certain emotions and I'm supposed to let go and I'm supposed to have this phase of cleansing. So it's not a real experience. So my advice is, even what I am saying, even what anybody says on any YouTube channel or anywhere, first observe if it's for you before you absorb. This is the art of discernment. You don't have to accept everything blindly. You have to grow up. That is your job. Accepting blindly is okay. That's a baby. You don't have to be childish. You just be child. So hear like a child. Then decide, is this for me? Is this not for me? People get emotional in full moon. Is this for me? It's not for me. Nothing happens to me. Nothing happens to my dog and my two cats. They're fine. So, with your dog, of course, he's reading your energy. So, maybe it's not his fault. Maybe you're driving this into him. This fear of, oh, on full moon, he'll behave in certain way. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just saying. It's your dog, so you know. All I'm saying is, whatever you receive, any knowledge, any information, any perspective, any idea, any opinion, observe before you absorb. Don't make it yours immediately.
Okay. We'll have that thing noted and observe before you absorb. Thanks for teaching us that.
Because otherwise, you just take it in and it becomes part of who you are, and it becomes, you think it's your opinion. You think it comes from your internal experience. No. It's from somewhere you've gathered and you've just kept it. Observation on it. So it becomes who you are. So question everything. Scientific mindset. That's why I say yogis are scientists. We question everything. Why? What is chakra? I don't believe in chakras. In everything. You don't have to believe anything. Somebody says chakras, oh, what is chakra? Kundalini, I've never experienced it. Question it. Experience it, great. You don't have to question it anymore. If you don't experience it and you're interested, keep questioning.
A lot of the times, people have heard about chakras, and a lot of conversations that I've been in are being centered around flow energy through all my chakras in a better way.
You cannot.
Okay.
You can do anything. Let go of this idea that you have control and just become sensitive. You can't even, once you eat a mango, you can't even decide that it's going to become your body. You don't even have control over your digestion system. How can you have control over your chakra system? You don't have control over your respiration, your digestion, your neurological system, your endocrinal system. Do you have any control? No. So why this illusion, I have control over my chakras? No. Your job is to get sensitive. And with that sensitivity, the minute, for example, if you get sensitive of breath, you have a bit more control. It's not even control. You have a bit more alignment with how you're supposed to breathe. You skillfully breathe. Similarly, when you eat mindfully and when you chew your food and when you relish the food and when it digests, you skillfully eat. So you're in alignment with the process of digestion. Similarly, when you skillfully get sensitive to your chakras, you're in alignment with how they're flowing and they're in alignment. That's all. You can't control them.
it's great that you bring up digestion, because I don't think I've ever mentioned this on the podcast or I've had a conversation with someone. But what Anjan just said was that you have to be aligned in the processes that lead up to an outcome, let's say digestion. And what I see time and time again with most people is that A, people don't spend enough time eating food, they don't spend enough time chewing food properly. And most of the times, what people do is that they would eat in a stressed out state. Now, according to what a lot of medical journals will tell you, is that every time you just you're grabbing a lunch and grabbing and go, and you're not giving yourself the time to sit down, connect with the food, and sort of like relax your nervous
Make it a
system.
ritual.
Yeah, relax your nervous system. Then your stress levels go high, body like plasma cortisol levels go increase, and then that's when digestion is also inhibited. So a lot of the times I would tell people, like, people after their gym, they would have a protein shake or they would just run up to get a meal. And I always tell them, like, please calm down, because you are in a very fight or flight state of your nervous system. And unless and until you can bring that down first, your body wouldn't be ready for digestion. So it's
Correct.
also an, like, let's say, order of processes.
This is a simple practice in of course, now it's gone to the west, but it's a simple zen practice of mindfulness.
Mhm.
Okay, where you're mindful of every action that you do. Shogunai is what the Japanese monks used to tell me, which means let go of things you're not in control of and focus on the things that you can make a change. So when you're eating, you can only chew, you can make sure you masticate, you can make sure you eat small portions, you can make sure you swallow before you take the next bite. That's all you have control of.
Mhm.
Shogunai, don't worry about the rest because you have no control over the rest. But as long as you do this, the rest will take care of itself. So this is mindfulness. You could be reading a book. Why do you have your Instagram open? You could be gardening. Why do you have your television on? You could be cooking. Why do you have the radio on? Right?
Mhm.
We could be doing a podcast. He's not taking phone calls or being distracted or reading a book or anything. So if you can have this kind of focused mindfulness and even a hyper focus, you will be more productive. You will get more done in less time. You will be happier. You will not have worries because you get your things done. Your goals will be met because you're able to pay attention to meeting them. You're able to reverse engineer your goals and hit your goalposts and your milestones. So overall, you will get abundance.
Mhm.
Mindfulness leads to abundance.
And what's the hack to mindfulness? Because a lot of people do have their Instagram phones on, and a lot of people would be trying to multitask, which also we know that doesn't really work. We think that we can multitask, but it's not efficient.
So a hack is just conscious living, intentional, deliberate action.
Mhm.
Dharana. Intentional, deliberate action. You have to put in action that is conscious, deliberate, and inspired. So if it is none of these, then why even doing that action? Right?
Mhm.
So mindlessly scrolling is the opposite of mindfully checking social media.
Mhm.
So this is every human's evolution and growth. It works because that human has today decided I'm no longer going to operate at a mindless, unaware level. I'm going to
Mhm.
be alert. I'm going to be mindful. I'm going to be aware. I'm going to be diligent and I'm going to be vigilant.
Mhm.
Vigilance is the key.
And that's just from taking the decision
That's
within
it.
yourself.
You have to take the decision. First, you have to see value in that decision.
Mhm.
So, not many people see value in vigilance.
Mhm.
But the value could be if you see the most successful people in the world, the wealthiest people in the world, the calmest and the most peaceful people in the world, whatever your measure of your next level is, if you want to level up and
Mhm.
you see, okay, this person is successful, how do I be like him? You will recognize this one quality.
Mhm.
They're all vigilant, they're
Mhm.
all alert, they're all aware.
Mhm.
And they rarely act mindlessly. They're
Mhm.
pretty much always in a mindful state of action,
Mhm.
inspired action.
Mhm. Very interesting. You also teach something else which is very interesting, which is Tantra. And when most people hear about the word Tantra, they would often think about the tantric sex. Do you get that often when you have conversations about people with Tantra? In fact, I might even have a book on my bookshelf which says tantric practices for men, or it was something like this, something I picked up in India. I can't find it here. It
should be somewhere around. But regardless, now tantric practices. When you talk to mostly Indians who have some sort of a background of tantric um, tantrism or tantric people, we don't really think about the sex part. We really think about the a certain appearance or a certain
Black
people,
magic.
black magic, or you have those the skull people hanging out with the skulls. But in the West, most of tantra is regarded to, oh, how can I enhance my sexual performance or libido or testosterone or things like that. So I want to know, what is tantra really?
So, in the essence, tan means everything to do with your physical dimension. Tana means body, even in Hindi and Sanskrit.
Mhm.
Tan, tan, man, tan, tan.
Yeah.
Tra comes from trayoti, which is expansion. So, expanding your physical dimension is tantra.
Mhm.
So, it is a set of embodied practices so that you can live a more embodied life. Now, what is embodied? For example, if your life force leaves your body and you're lying there dead, or your body is lying there dead, that's called disembodied,
Mhm.
right? That is the extreme state of disembodiment. But as humans, we are in multiple states of disembodiment. Through Tantra, you align all of this and you become completely embodied so that every cell of yours, every atom of yours is bursting with ecstasy
Mhm.
and with exuberance and with joy
Mhm.
and with the just the thrill of living skillfully.
So um, does that mean that you have more kundalini or more life force, more prana, more energy
No
running
more
through
or
your
less.
cells?
No more or less.
Okay.
Everybody has equal amount of kundalini. Everybody has equal amount of prana. But your sensitivity to that obviously increases when you practice some of the kriyas in Tantra. Kriya means actions or
Mhm.
tools or techniques.
Mhm.
So in essence, that's what Tantra is. Now, the West, when I say the West, I don't mean geographically, I mean
Mhm.
ideologically, has taken just parts of it. In fact, even the Kama in Kama Sutra doesn't mean lust.
Mhm.
Kama means desiring skillful living. Kama Sutra is actually a great book that teaches you how to have very cordial and pleasant relationships. It teaches you how to be kind, loving, how to give the other person pleasure, how to be concerned, how to take care of their needs. This is what the book is teaching in a sense.
Mhm.
It's a book of virtues.
So it's not only about poses.
It's not only about positions. No, it's about virtues. And in the context of a couple or partners, it teaches you how to be loving to each other
Mhm.
with a variety of physical postures that you can intermingle together and expand as two units becoming one. So, the West, again, when I say West, not geographically, ideologically, has
Mhm.
just taken one small portion of it and they think Tantra means sexual acrobatics, which is okay. Let them
Mhm.
practice that. But Tantra is all about lovemaking.
Mhm.
But the lovemaking is not limited to your genitals.
Mhm.
Every cell in your body is capable of lovemaking. So, for example, when you're drinking some water as a tantric, you explore and you expand. Can your mouth make love to the glass? Can your tongue make love to the water? Can the water, as it goes into your body, make love to your food pipe and then your stomach? And
Mhm.
then, as it disseminates through the rest of your body, can the water reach every cell of you and make love to every cell?
Mhm.
This is Tantra.
And are there different schools of Tantra? Because what happened, I mean, the way I look at it, as we gathered as humans a lot of the information, when we were cavemen, there were some scriptures on the caves. Then it went on to, we had some logical writing system. First, it was passed down from a generation to the generation, lineages to lineages. So you have like some lineages telling some secrets to only their sons and grandsons, and then those people would go and whisper in someone else's ear. Then there were leaves that things
Yeah,
were recorded on.
this is called Shruti, spoken word, or
Mhm.
Agama, stuff that's not written down. So of course,
But in the tantric way,
all of Tantra is only like this. There's no written text for Tantra.
there's no written text. So Kama Sutra is just happens to be one
Kama
of those.
Sutra is a text. It's not really a tantric school text. It's a text on how to, like I said a few minutes ago, it's on how to really be loving and kind, how to practice skillful partnership, how to be the best partner you can for your loved one. That's what it is. It's a tool book.
Mhm.
It's like how to be loving for dummies.
And do you think in the history we lost some of these other things that tantrics might
No,
have?
no, no. The lineages have been staying alive.
Mhm.
So there are many lineages. They're not so much schools. There are many lineages. The West today calls it white, red, pink, yellow tantra.
Mhm.
This is again ideologically a limited understanding. Nothing wrong with it, but this is their understanding, which is okay. In the esoteric schools of the Indian subcontinent, why I say Indian subcontinent, India, present day India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, Pakistan, China, Mongolia, all have different lineages, and these different lineages are still alive. Some of them are even flourishing even more now than they flourished 4,000 years ago. There's new temples, new activities, more people now practicing it. Remember that Tantra came in because of a rebel like quality of yogis. The yogis who didn't want to conform to rules became tantrics.
And what were the rules like?
The rules were you need to practice austerity, you need to live away from your family, you need to have a brahmacharya status, you need to go and live in the mountain, you need to renounce. So many rules came. Because when you structure anything, rules come. The real yogis never follow these rules anyway. They still exist. You'll see them at the Kumbh Mela. They're called Naga Babas.
I was able to go to the Kumbh Mela as well
Very
in my
nice.
trip.
So you
this
must
time.
have seen the Naga Babas, the Nath Yogis, the Siddhas, the Giris. So many lineages are there. They don't follow any rules. They say you and your rules. They don't follow any religion. Yogis are not Hindu or Muslim. Or Hinduism is new. Yoga is old.
Interesting.
Yogis don't have nationality. They don't have religion. They don't have caste, creed, anything. They have lineages based on what their teachers taught them. That's it. Lineage just shows you what type of kriyas or stools you're practicing. So Tantra came about with the need to rebel. Historically, if you see, pedagogically, if you see, that's how it came about. Saying, I'm not interested in going staying in the mountain. I want to have my wife and my kids and my family and my material possessions, and still I want to be the same level of bliss, peace, pleasure, and ecstasy. How can I do that?
Is
That
that
is
how
Tantra.
you, in your work, you mention the Shiva's path and the Buddha's path?
Oh yeah. Correct. Yeah,
So-
exactly that. So desires are there. You either you renounce the desire and you find liberation. Desires are there. You fulfill the desire and you find liberation. That's it. So the monks who follow Theravada, Vajrayana, Mahayana Buddhism, they follow the Buddha's path, which is renouncement,
Which is letting go of everything.
which is renouncement of all desires. The desire to let go of all desire also needs to be renounced.
Interesting.
So this is Buddhism. This, if you follow, it's a powerful path of liberation. But if you live in a city, if you have bills to pay, if you have a job, if you have a girlfriend, if you have a boyfriend, if you have material, if you have a phone, if you have clothes that you have to wear, if you have a car, you cannot practice renouncement. So Tantra is the science for modern day.
Okay.
Because we no longer need to live in the mountains. We can have the same feeling sitting on this couch. So Tantra is the most relevant today compared to what it was 5,000 years ago. Yoga, in fact, is not as relevant as Tantra. Yoga has become an asana practice today. It's become a postural practice. The essence of yoga, it's being revived by many teachers who are saying, hey, go beyond asana, right?
Which are the 8 limbs of yoga?
That is Patanjali's version.
Okay. That's not the.
No, Patanjali was a great sage. I mean, he wrote the Yoga Sutras as a pathway to quickly find liberation, which he calls Kaivalya. So the 8 limbs of Patanjali's yoga lead to Kaivalya. But there's many other kind of thought schools behind yoga. Patanjali is accepted because everybody who finishes your 200-hour TTC think of only Patanjali. Because that's what that's all you can teach in 200 hours.
Okay.
Right? When you finish 10 years with a guru, you learn so much more. So explore, expand, and then figure out. Patanjali's 8 limbs are itself very powerful. You can just use that. So there is a text. It's called Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. It's the name of the text. Okay. The folklore says that Shiva gave these 108 techniques to Parvati, his wife, for enlightenment. Or rather, he gave it to 7 of his students, 7 Saptarishi, and Parvati overheard and wrote the book. 108 techniques he's detailed there. You can choose any one and find liberation. They say the Buddha took half of one and founded Buddhism and found his path. He took half of one of these 108. So there are many, many paths.
Why are we all heading towards liberation?
Liberation is one word of saying it. You can call it emancipation, you can call it nirvana, you can call it enlightenment, you can call it merging, yoga, union. But at the end of the day, when you start the path of a seeker, you will be troubled. The trouble comes, till then ignorance is bliss. When you start the path of the seeker, like you've started, questions like, why am I here? What is my purpose? Who am I going to serve? Why do people die? Where was I before I was born? Who am I? Am I this body, or am I the one observing this body? What happens to me after I die? Is there rebirth? Is there afterbirth? So there's a set of 100 questions which every seeker is troubled with. And every time you answer a question, you reach a bit of liberation. So you keep answering questions till you answer all of them and you have no more questions. Those in general are called enlightened beings. I still have so many questions. But this is what I tell my students. I'm a beginner too in this path of seekership. I just began before you.
How many lifetimes do you need for enlightenment? Can you achieve enlightenment in one
See,
lifetime?
the concept of lifetimes again is a theory. I've been through past life regression sessions and I've seen my past lives. But do I believe in it completely? I don't know. Was it my imagination, or was it the power of the hypnotherapist? Or was I really in a past life? I was a Japanese daimyo, a king, a samurai warrior in one of my past lives. Was I really there, or is it just my connection with Japan that made all this imagination come by? I don't know yet. I will tell you when I leave this body whether past life and future life exists. So yoga doesn't bother about these things. How many lives, how many incarnations, how many lifetimes. None of this. Right here, right now, find liberation. That's all.
One of the other ways a lot of people move, or one of the conversations that have been striking
a lot, thank you, is the conversation about karma.
and a lot of people will
Just use, I think this word has lost its power because now people just use it all the time. And most of the people, if you ask them what is karma,
They can't explain.
they cannot explain. And they all want to talk about karma. So what do you think, in your personal opinion, is karma? Is there a way to advance in our karmic way of living? Are there any tools, tips, tricks that the listeners can take in?
So, unpopular opinion. Your entire understanding of karma is misinterpretation by books you've read, by YouTube videos you've seen, and by the common usage, oh, it's bad karma.
Yeah, exactly.
The concept of karma, predominantly accepted in the West, again, ideologically, not geographically, when I say West, is that you do good, you get good, you do bad, you get bad. Right? Now, this seems ridiculous to me because so many people who are doing bad are doing so well in life. So many people who are doing good are suffering. So that base of that itself is ridiculous. Then that's added on with, oh, previous life he did good, so this life he's enjoying. Sounds even more ridiculous to me. I don't even know if previous life exists. Yogis are practical people. I don't know. I only know now. Now he's suffering. Now he's enjoying. Karma, to explain simply, for lack of better word in English, is gravity. Things that gravitate towards each other have said to have karma for each other. For example, when you plant a mango seed, you will only get a mango tree. The karma of the mango seed is to become a mango tree. It will never become a coconut tree. That is the karma of the mango seed. But along with karma, there's another concept called phala, or fruit. It's the karma phala concept. Karma is itself only 50%. Karma phala is the full concept. The Bhagavad Gita, which is a great text, has very detailed verses and kind of knowledge giving wisdom on karma phala, which is action reaction or action fruit. You plant a mango seed, there is no guarantee it will become a tree. The seed might be eaten by a squirrel.
Mhm.
The small plant might be dug by a cat. The medium plant might be killed by a
Might be a
cow.
drought, something. Yeah,
Yeah, the medium
environmental
tree
factors.
might there might be a drought. There might be no rain. The big tree might be cut by a woodcutter. So,
Mhm.
what is the guarantee that that mango seed will become a mango tree? No guarantee. But the mango seed will only become a mango tree. That is guarantee. That is karma,
Mhm.
right? So in yoga, there's many types of karma. Prarabdha karma, so many types of karma.
Yeah.
So for example, you having curly hair,
Mm.
this is your karma. In that sense, it's a genetic memory that you have
Mhm.
from your great grandfather. Did you decide?
No.
So they call this karma in yoga.
Mm.
So my skin color being brown is my karma.
Mhm.
But today, many people want to go to tanning stations and get my skin color
Mm.
to change their karma,
Yeah.
right? They're just getting radiation. Go to the sun if you want my color. You still won't get it.
Mm.
So the concept of karma is simply what you gravitate towards. My body naturally gravitated towards brown skin color. That's the karma of my skin color.
So everything in your life has a karma.
Everything in life is something you gravitate to.
Mhm.
What you gravitate to is the karma. It's gravity.
Mhm.
Our karma is to be on earth. That's why we're not sky beings. We're earth beings.
Mhm. Interesting.
Right? So that's why gravity holds us down. Gravity again. So if you see karma with this lens of gravity, it becomes very easy to understand. So, for example, if you have a job and you feel gravitating towards that, like you're fulfilled by it, you're practical stuff, huh? Because I'm a practical yogi.
Yeah.
You feel fulfilled by it, you feel passionate by it, people around there are supporting you, you're growing, it's giving you money, it's giving you joy, it's giving you happiness. That is your karma.
Mhm.
That is your purpose. Meanwhile, if you have a job where you're really tired, you're sick of it, you're bored, you're disgusted, people are not nice to you,
Mhm.
you're not performing, you're not enjoying, or any of those elements, you're not gravitating towards that.
Mhm.
So either you can change the job or change yourself. If you change yourself, you compromise and enjoy the job, which is also your karma.
Mhm. But will you really be happy if you change yourself?
Why not? That is your karma. You understand? The gravitation towards
Mhm.
happiness has not come to you yet.
Mhm.
Your gravity is more towards the security of the job.
Mhm.
When you gravitate towards happiness, happiness becomes your karma.
What's a
Hack to happiness then.
There is no hack to happiness. No need to hack happiness.
Mhm.
Yogis don't pursue happiness.
Or so then
We
in the
pursue relaxation.
okay.
When you're relaxed, you're able to become more sensitive. You're able to have clarity. You're able to think without any brain fog,
Mhm.
without any indoctrination.
Mhm.
You're able to think abundantly. You're able to feel joyous and abundant.
Mhm.
And that will give you decisions that come from clarity, which you do not regret,
Mhm.
which help you to grow, to push your goals forward, to level up in your life. And those decisions will give you happiness.
Okay.
So, no need to chase happiness.
so no? Yeah. Okay. So
Chasing happiness is not
It's
the.
futile.
What about contentment?
What is contentment? Contentment is santosha. You can be content every moment. But doesn't mean you stop growing. Contentment doesn't mean, okay, I'm content, so I'm going to lie down and not do any action. No, it doesn't mean inaction. It means being content with where you are, at the same time having the desire to keep growing. Because if you don't grow, you're decaying. It's either growth or decay. This is the only thumb rule we have in yoga. Yoga doesn't have any morality. There's no good or bad. Like I was telling you before,
Mhm.
there's no this is good, this is bad. There's only, does it help me grow? Does it help me decay? You decide. So contentment comes from knowing that where I am complete. I still need to grow.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean I don't have santosha. That's the Sanskrit word for contentment.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean inaction. Doesn't mean inert living. Doesn't mean laziness. Doesn't mean procrastination. Oh, I'm content, so I don't want to grow. No, that's not contentment. That's laziness.
Mhm. Well, thank you for sharing all of that. We've almost reached to the end of this interview, and
We might have
time
to
is
do a
just.
part two. Huh?
We should do a part two, in fact, and I promise, like, yeah, we'll speak about this offline and arrange another one. Um, but before you go, you've had experiences from so many different things, right? Like you were a DJ, radio presenter, and for most of the things that people might be interested in, with the martial arts and Zen facilitator. Can you tell us like one practical tip? And also, he's a practical yogi. You guys by now know it.
I'm the bio, he's the hacker.
Yeah,
Biohacker.
this was a coincidence, but he pointed out well to it. He's on the bio side, I'm on the hacker side. So my hacker mentality
Yeah, you want to
is
hack everything.
is it's not even about, yeah,
No,
I want
good.
to reduce the time
Yogis
frame.
are hackers.
Uh-huh.
Yogis are the master hackers. They hacked everything.
I just feel that there is two paths to getting to a destination, right? And then I think some teachings of Buddha also,
Why
he
are you
mentioned
limited to
this.
two? There's multiple paths.
There could be, but there's a slow path and there's a fast path. And slow path,
Slow and fast again is relative. I told you, yogis don't have relativity. In Zen, we have a beautiful saying: the mountain doesn't think it's tall or short. Only we say tall mountain, short mountain. The mountain just is.
Mhm.
You're comparing it with other mountains you've seen.
Mhm.
So if you compare two paths, you can have fast and slow. But maybe the one you think slow is better for you. So fast and slow is not the comparison there,
Okay.
right? Which is growth, which is decay. This is the polarity you work with. Don't work with morality. Work with polarity.
So work towards growth all the
Growth.
time.
That's it. Whichever path gives you growth, take that path. It might be slow. It might be fast. Who cares?
But don't you waste a lot of time if you, because when you're like,
Again,
let's say,
this is the productivity indoctrination. Waste a lot of time. What are you going to do with that time? And why do you think you're going to waste time? Learn pranayama, learn yogic techniques, live to 150 years. And as a biohacker, anyway, they're going to download your consciousness onto some device and you can live for 500 years. They're going to learn how to cryo freeze your brain. So, what are you worried about? Where is this lack of time indoctrination coming from? I don't have time. I don't have time. I'm not saying don't have urgency. Have patient urgency. Know that things take time. When you plant the mango seed, you can say, I don't have time. I want it overnight. Of course, technology might do that. But you got to wait for 30 years for the mango seed to go to mango tree, right? But you have to urgently plant it, you have to urgently water it, you have to urgently protect
take
it.
care of it.
So that's patient urgency or urgent patience, knowing that things take their time. So this indoctrination of I need to get it done now is I need to work hard, I don't have to take a break, is productivity indoctrination. It's come from the military grade thinking, which is do it, soldier on, soldier on. We don't soldier on, we relax.
Okay. Can you share with us like a technique, like let's say from pranayama or like yoga, that can help us relax,
Relaxation.
since that's the path to happiness?
So before relaxation, I'll just share one more thing with you.
Sure.
There is a dimension called the anahata, unstruck. So commonly called heart chakra, but it has nothing to do with your heart. And the yantra, which is the symbol for this dimension, is two triangles. One triangle which points down, one triangle which points up. So it's kind of like the Star of David. The triangle that points up simply means, as a human being, your wish is to merge with the divine. Now, when I say divine, it can be divine, divinity, cosmic consciousness, God, universal consciousness, universe, the truth, the secret, whatever you want to call it. But basically, your human beingness wants to merge with something more powerful that you can perceive but don't know what it is. Similarly, the triangle downstairs reflects cosmic consciousness or divinity or God or whatever you want to call it. Allah, Jesus, Shiva, Buddha, whatever you want to call it, the name doesn't matter. But that power wants to experience this human dimension. So just recognize this, that whatever experience you're going through, that power wants to experience that. And so you will have relaxation when you have this outlook, this perspective. You will no longer be tensed because something bad might happen to you, something tension causing. This is a recognition that divinity wants to experience this through me.
Very interesting.
Divinity wants to have this worldly touch, sensation, feel, haptic response and experience. How else will divinity experience it other than through you? Similarly, you want to have the experience of the divine. So you do things which connect you to the divine. Three simple tips for relaxation. One, suspend memory and imagination. At any moment of time, if you can close your eyes and any thoughts that come, classify them. This is memory, go. This is imagination, go. And see what else is left. Quickly, in like 20 minutes, you'll run out of thoughts and you will reach a deep state of relaxation. Two, breath work. So have conscious, deep, focused inhale and exhale. One of the things that happens when we chant Om is you end up going to 4 breaths per minute because you inhale, hold, and then Om. It's 15 seconds. So you're at 4 breaths per minute. Automatically, your entire nervous system, your entire limbic system, your entire physical system, physiologically, psychologically, emotionally, energetically, you become in a state of relaxation. And the most important thing is make sure that when you perceive anything as tension, worry, trouble, create a bit of distance, right? So, this is the trouble, this is me. Who is the one having this tension? Who is the one having this trouble? Who is the one having these worrying thoughts? The minute you create a bit of distance, you're able to look at it more objectively. You're able to look at it more logically. And any of these worries you have, you will realize if you look at it with logic and in an objective way, they go away. Say you don't have a job, you look at it objectively, you've not had a job before, you will find a job. Okay, I will find a job. Say your partner leaves you, look at it objectively. I was not adding value to her, she was not adding value to me. Okay, of course it's sad and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But you look at it objectively, create a bit of distance. Say your major calamity, earthquake, floods, fire, terrorist attack. I hope never happens to you, but a major calamity. Observe. Okay, so many people are affected. How can I help them? Spend just a moment to stay back and observe. It's done. The universe has created this. The earth has shattered into pieces. That's why there's an earthquake. Some idiot threw a bomb. That's why there's terrorist attack. What can I do? Nothing.
So having that it is what it is mentality.
Create a distance between you and the event because you are not the event. You're simply experiencing the event. So then when you have time, go within and find out who is the one experiencing. Who is the one, who is the subjective observer of the objective experience. Observe within, witness. That's all.
Something that has helped me a lot this year, and I want to get your opinion on it, is it all started off with something really funny where we were just talking about with friends, and I took this idea into my life like beginning of this year, that most of the times where I would get worried about a situation or when my expectations of something were disappointing me, I would just tell myself it is what it is.
That's it. When you create that distance,
Yes.
that's what you're doing. Your expectation is there. Sorry, your expectation is here. Reality is there. Create distance between your expectation and the reality. So then you say, oh shit, I expected this person to behave in this way, but the reality is they're behaving in this way. So create that distance. And then analyze, why do I expect them to behave like that?
And also one of the things...
And tensions?
Yeah.
90% tensions are caused because your expectation doesn't meet the reality. So then level up your skills. If you have better skills,
Have better expectations.
no, you have better skills, you
Yeah.
can make your expectation, you can make all your dreams come true, but you need skills. I want to make $1 million, but you don't have skill of sales, you don't have skill of creating a product, you don't have skill of marketing, you don't know the skill of adding value to humans so that they can pay you money, you don't have skill of distribution, you don't have skill of team management, you're not going to make $1 million. So pick up these skills. And any of the top entrepreneur teachers, I love some of them. Can I name some of them?
Please.
Patrick Bet-David, Grant Cardone, Evan Carmichael, Lewis Howes, all of these people are giving amazing information on the steps. So for the steps, there's enough practical information on the internet. Brilliant. Even people like, famous investors. Even you can even read biographies of Obama or Bill Gates or Elon Musk or anybody that you choose. They give you tips to these steps of how to create skillfully. What are the skills you need to create what you want? Then your expectation is realistic. Because, okay, I have these skills. I can do sales, I can do marketing, I can create product. I know how to add value, I know how to distribute, I know how to manage team. There's no reason why you won't manifest $1 million. Easy.
Okay, so build up your skills.
Build up your skills.
What
Level
about
up.
what about like meditating for the entire day and visualizing that you're making $1 million? Will that help?
In yoga, we have 3 steps. Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti. Ichha Shakti is desire, skillfully desiring. So what we spoke about now is skillfully desiring. Ichha means desire. is visualizing, is the secret, is feeling the resonance with that thing like it's already come true, all that. But you have to supplement that with Jnana Shakti, the wisdom of how to make that desire into a reality. Without that Jnana Shakti, the desire will just stay desire. Then you need Kriya Shakti. Kriya is action. You need to put the actions based on the knowledge to bring the desire to fruition. No actions, that desire is just going to sit there.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Very clearly.
So yoga says this very clearly. Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti.
Amazing.
10,000 years ago, they wrote about it.
Amazing. Thank you so much
Thank
for your
you.
time. Thank you so much. But before you go,
Yes.
my last question to you is, if you had a time machine and you could go back 10 years, 5 years, and you would want to change something in your life, what would that one thing be? It could be an idea, it could be a practice, it could be, buying Bitcoin, but no, not buying Bitcoin, but something else.
So I have a time machine. And when you close your eyes, you have a time machine. If your memory power is strong enough, you can go anywhere to the past. If your imagination power is strong enough, you can go anywhere to the future. So you have a time machine. Now, whether or not I want to change anything is irrelevant. Because if I change something there, something else, where I am today won't be where I am. Will I be alive or not in this body? I don't know. I don't know. Changing one thing will have a ripple effect. That's what all the science fiction movies are saying. So the quantum loop is such that whatever had to happen, happened. And the trick is to not live a life of regret. Instead, recognize at this moment you can change. At this moment, you can decide. What is the word I'm going to say next? I'm going to give you 4 options: A, B, C, D. So these 4 options, A, B, C, D, are in front of me. I'm creating my reality. I'm creating my story in real time. Which word will I choose? Is it destiny? Is it free will? And then, depending on which word I choose, what will be the next repercussion for that? What's the next domino effect? What's the next butterfly effect? This is what meditation helps you realize. So you get the clarity, not of the past, not of the future. At this moment, how can I make an inspired decision? How can I say an inspired word? How can I have clarity in action? And this is unending. Clarity is an unending. There's no 100% clarity. It's unending. It cannot be calculated in percentage. Clarity is infinite. You can only be more clear today than you were yesterday.
So it revolves back to the same thing: be better than what you were before.
That's it. Just every day keep growing.
That is beautiful.
You don't want to know which one I'm choosing?
I'm guessing you're choosing C.
Neither. I'm going to choose E and D. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, everyone. And this is me, CJ, with Anjaan, signing off from the Shift with CJ podcast. Everyone have a great day.
Follow, subscribe, like, comment, share. This guy's doing a great job. Find a shift in your life with the content that he's giving you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Thank you, Anjaan.